Welcome to Momentum's virtual training series, where we invite expert facilitators to share their knowledge on topics that advance women in leadership.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I hope you all are having an amazing morning, that your week has been so great. We are super pumped here in the office. I see a couple of familiar faces, but if you do not know, my name is Joy Foy, and I am the Communications and Engagement Coordinator here at Momentum Leaders. We are so excited to see some of your faces at Rise 2026 next Tuesday. And I'm so excited that Caryn is joining us today to do this really exclusive and really exciting pre-conference webinar with you all. I am going to turn it over to Caryn, but I really encourage you all that if she says something that sparks a comment that you have, a question that you have, please feel free throughout the training to use the chat or raise your hand, and me and Caryn will make sure that you all are acknowledged. If you all could just stay at the end, I have just a couple of reminders regarding the conference that I want to make sure that you all are plugged into. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started. So, Caryn, I am going to send it over to you.
Thank you. I'm Caryn Terradas with Social U. I'm the CEO. We specialize in social media marketing and digital marketing. And today we are going to talk about leading with clarity online, and how leaders really need to be using social media versus how you might be using it right now. So we're here to help. And I'm going to go ahead and let me turn off my camera and we'll get started. Okay, and if you have any questions, you can stop me at any time. I am happy to answer anything you might need. First and foremost, we really want to reframe the whole social media as leadership. Whether you're intentional or not, you are leading online. The only question is, are you leading with clarity? And it comes down to, what do people see versus what do they actually get from what you are posting online, from your presence online? And I just want to take a quick poll of those who are here. Do you feel like you are consistent in your social media? Do you feel more reactive, or do you feel more invisible? I'm just trying to kind of gauge where we are. And there's no shame in any of the answers. I just am kind of trying to see where everybody is. It can be overwhelming, and that's one of the things we're going to address today too. So if you want to respond in chat, that would be great. Just trying to kind of gauge where everybody is. Okay, social media is no longer really considered marketing, which of course there are pieces of marketing to it, but really it's all about visibility and community. So it's a modern leadership visibility. If you have to lead a team, a company, an organization, your digital presence really shapes trust before you ever walk into a room. And you're going to see some of that next week at the conference. People will have already checked out your profile online so they can be sure to connect with you in person. There is a leadership visibility gap, and I want to dive into that. Most leaders are either they're overposting without clarity, and I know you see this consistently. You have those folks, and a lot of what we're going to be talking about today is going to reference LinkedIn. Not a whole lot of personal posts, invisible. A lot of folks feel invisible. Just one consistent, and I'd say good for you, because that is very rare. And most leaders are just they post, but they're not sure exactly what they need to be posting. They're not sure exactly where to find the right content or what strategy they need to follow to post. You also have the silence due to overwhelm. You have a lot going on at your job. Of course you are. You're a leader in your job, and not a lot of time to mess around with extras or different items that may or may not be on your actual list of responsibilities. So a lot of leaders tend to just be quiet because they don't have time to deal with it. And when you do deal with it, it is overwhelming. It takes time to create graphics. It takes time to find content. It takes time to post even when you schedule. So that can be overwhelming, and that is an easy way to shut you down. And then delegating without direction. A lot of leaders will delegate for someone to post for them. And this, of course, this is something we do. And we get this a lot where they're not really sure what to post. They're not really sure which direction to go. And that's kind of where your strategy comes in. You really and truly need to be aware of which direction you want to go. We have, and I see it all the time, we'll have business owners who will approach us or leaders who will approach us and ask us about posting. And one of the biggest things we see are gaps. We have inconsistency in posting. The content tends to be a little bit more random. A lot of times there's no branding on any of the content that's there. And when there is, it's too salesy. It's too much jargon. It's too much about get this, buy this, do this, sign up for this. And that wears people out. When your content, and those are the two main reasons you get unfollowed or overlooked, is if your content is not engaging or if you are coming across too salesy. We actually had a company I sat down with recently, and they were horrified that we were going to post 3 times a week on their LinkedIn page because they don't want to be overwhelming. It's not going to be overwhelming. And he said, well, we see people all the time that go into groups and respond to every single comment. That's overwhelming. We don't want to do that. We want to engage and build community without driving people away. There is I will add one more thing. Organizations, you can have a great mission, but unclear messaging. And I will ask you, let me back up. Have you been to a website for a nonprofit or a business, and after you've read all the information there, you're still not exactly sure about what they do? We see that a lot on LinkedIn profiles as well. You will get a job title as your subject line, but you don't understand what the job title means. It's got jargon, it's got abbreviations, it's got information in it that doesn't resonate with a larger audience. Now, it may resonate great within their industry, and if that's their objective, that's awesome. But it's very confusing for a lot of folks to see it. So you want to make sure that people understand what you do when they go to your profile, and that, even more important, what's your call to action? What do you want them to do? Are you trying to connect with them? Do you want them to go look at your organization's business page? You need to have an idea about what your call to action is going to be. Lack of clarity really, really weakens your leadership impact. Inconsistent messaging creates inconsistent trust. There is a difference between being visible and being influential and being aligned. And we want to get more into that. We're going to talk now about the 3 pillars of leading online. Okay. I would like to ask you what your clarity of message is. So we're going to take just a second. And if I asked you to fill in the blanks on this specific sentence, we exist to fill in that blank, so that fill in the blank. So you exist because, so that you can, what is your answer there? How do you know what to say there? And I think, again, there's a lot of confusion with mission statements, and there's gaps and there's overlap. But for us, I'll use us as the example. We exist to grow your presence online so that your business can grow, so that you can personally flourish. So we want to make sure that you have that clarity of statement. And we're going to get into clarity. I get excited. I got just a little bit ahead of myself. This is where we're getting more into the 3 pillars, and clarity is pillar number 1. You have to understand what you want to be known for. You have to understand your target audience, and then you need to know what your audience how do they think? How do they feel? What do they do? And until you understand that, it's going to be difficult. It's hard to hit a target that you don't have. So you have to understand who is your audience, who you're called to serve, and what do you want to be known for. So I asked just a second ago if you could fill in the blank. If you would like to share that in the chat, I would love to see kind of where your thoughts are. And I'm going to check the chat real quick. We exist, yes, so that we can. So again, for my organization, for our business, we exist to help grow your presence so that your business or you can flourish online. That's what we do. That's our clarity statement. So clarity is number one, as one of the pillars of leading with content online. And I'm going to stop for just a second so you can kind of take that in. Okay, consistency is next, and consistency is huge. Leadership is built in repetition. Social media is not really about frequency, it's about alignment. Now, can most people have the time, the energy, the bandwidth to post every day? Probably not. That's probably not a realistic expectation. So you need to be careful here. And what do I mean by that? I mean, sporadic posting can erode your credibility. As of 2026, the best posting frequency is really one that you can maintain without burnout, without overwhelm, and without diluting your message. And if you're familiar, if you're a long time participant with Momentum, McDonald and Graham talk about bandwidth very consistently. That's what it comes down to, what you can handle personally versus what you need to delegate. And we're going to talk about that more too. Consistency, why does it matter so much? Well, consistency builds trust. Consistency builds trust. You have, when people see your brand often, they feel more familiar with it. They feel familiar brands feel safer and more reliable. And this will increase your chance that they will actually connect and buy from you or your organization. You also have the algorithms to take into consideration. Every single social media algorithm on every single platform rewards consistency. So what does that mean? It means that those accounts that post regularly, when you stay active, your content is more likely to appear in feeds. It is very disappointing when someone is trying to connect or get information and they go to a page or profile and there hasn't been a post in 8 months or a year. You feel like the person's gone, they've changed jobs, they've abandoned that presence, and you don't ever want to come across like that. It needs to be consistent. And each algorithm is different. Instagram's different from Facebook, it's different from LinkedIn. But even on LinkedIn, the more consistent you are, the more likely LinkedIn is to share your content with people in your newsfeed, as well as share your information from your page. And the more you look in, like if you check in consistently once a week, and it's, again, you have to have bandwidth. And even we schedule our posts so that we're not having to log into each platform individually every day. But if you log in every week to do that, when you do that, even that consistency, if you take just a moment to look around, it helps your algorithm to feed you the right information and to help you feed your information to others that are a good fit. Regular posting really, really improves your engagement overall. The more people see your content, the more they interact with it. And over time, this builds community around your brand. And I've been talking about community for over a year. We are in a community era on social media. It's all about who you're connected with and who you're talking to overall. And that may look like a Facebook page. It may look like a LinkedIn page. And I love using Momentum as an example because their page on LinkedIn is so consistent and they have built such an amazing community there. Their statistics are incredible because people will get on that page and actually talk to each other. And that's exactly what you want. So this requires systems to be in place. And I'm not saying anyone lacks motivation, because you can be, have the best of intentions, but if you don't have the system to execute it, then it's not going to work. So like for us, from our beginning, we create the strategy, we generate content, we post that content in Asana for approval, and then we schedule the week before. So if you don't have a system in place to execute your content, you're making it harder on yourself. You're giving yourself more obstacles than necessary. Now we're going to go to our third pillar, which is capacity. It comes down to bandwidth. This is where you really need to look at delegation. If you're a VP, or if you're in charge of marketing, or if you're a CEO, do you really need to be writing captions at 10:30 p.m.? Probably not. And you should really need to look at delegating this. Now, I will tell you, you do need to be cautious about who you give the capacity or give the ability to post for you. Why does that matter? Well, there are companies who will let their marketing intern post for them or help them out. And I'm not saying that's wrong. We've had some outstanding interns here at Social U. However, you need to be careful. Even if it's an administrative assistant, you need to make sure that the content, because some of the dangers of letting an intern kind of step in and post, some of the content tends to not be polished enough, which would indicate no branding, pixelated images. There's no accountability if something goes wrong. And we've had that example recently. There was an example of a major brand online that said, "Oh, oops, we didn't mean to do this. It was our intern." Was it? Or did you guys just make a mistake and you're blaming it on the easiest person, the easiest scapegoat? A lot of times an intern or someone who doesn't understand the voice, they're not clear on the branding. They're not clear on messaging. And a lot of times if you have interns who are temporary, they can leave. So you want to build that relationship with someone within your organization or a vendor that is going to be your long-term partner, who understands your voice and who is representing you well. Leadership sets the visions, but the systems are what carries it out. So capacity is huge. And this is where most leaders get stuck, because you can really have the best content, the best messaging, an awesome podcast, a great blog, and not necessarily you personally, but your organization. And then how do you get that message to the people in your community that you're connected with? You have to have a system in place. Okay, so what leaders need to own versus what they need to delegate. So let's talk about what you need to own, what you need to be responsible for as a leader in your organization or your industry. First and foremost, the vision. You have to see the big picture where everyone is going so that you can get there. I joke around all the time. You would never just get in your car and drive and hope to get where you're going. You're going to look at a map so that you can get to your destination. And that's what vision is. You have to have a target to hit. You also have to have values. What is at your core? What is at the heart of your brand, of your messaging? And that leads directly into your voice. How do you want to say that? How do you want to carry that? I'm very female leader prominent. I love featuring other female leaders, female business owners, and it comes across, I think, on all of our platforms and everything that we do. That's part of our voice. So that's something that we want to maintain. And I think, again, Momentum is excellent at that. And then, of course, you have key messaging themes. A lot of organizations have different, I'll use the term pillars for, this is our core values. These might be our 4 core values, and that's great. But if they're not integrated into your messaging, it doesn't help you. It doesn't do any good. So you have to look at overall, not just your vision, but how do you put that in a voice that encapsulates your brand and moves you forward. There's things you don't need to do by yourself. And I know you guys know this, and some leaders do struggle with delegation, but there's certain things you don't need to be concerned about. Content calendars shouldn't be at your primary function. There are content calendars. We have a great one that we offer at no charge that I'm happy to send. I'm happy to send to all the participants if that's something that you're interested in. We can include it with a link to the recording, but that's not something you need to bother with. That's something that should be provided for you so that you can just create the content and move forward. Daily posting. Do you need to log in for 30 minutes on every platform every day? I sure hope not. We use scheduling tools to assist us so that we can get the biggest bang for our buck. And logging in every day is overwhelming. Oh, I love this. We have a really great statement We exist to support families and educators so they can have unique educational opportunities. I love that. Learn, grow, and learn more. I love that. That's a great what are we statement. Love it. And it's clear so that when people go to, and it was Rachel who posted that, when you go to her profile, that's evident. So I love that. Sorry, I just wanted to jump in. I'm trying to catch questions as they come. So excuse me for kind of stopping, but I want to address it as they pop up. So what else do you not need to be concerned with? And as far as daily posting, you can sit down in 15 or 30 minutes and schedule your content on LinkedIn on whatever day works for you, whatever time you have allocated for that. It might be Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. or Monday afternoon at 4 p.m. And then that's it. You don't have to log in every single day. If you have alerts or there's comments, you'll get alerts on your phone so you can easily maintain that without having to worry about posting constantly, logging in every day. Platform optimization. You got to know what skills, tools, what you have available to you on each platform so that you can utilize it. I'm surprised at how many folks don't realize that LinkedIn now allows you to have an active URL in your profile at the top of your profile so that people can connect with you directly. And it might be a link directly to your contact us page on your business. It might be a link to a landing page of yours. It might be a link to your email. It's very simple, but not a lot of people will use that because they don't know it's there. It also includes being able to schedule your content, optimize the platform so that you're putting it to work for you and it's not an obstacle to your success. Analytics. How often do you look at what's working and what's not working? Well, ideally, when you delegate some of these activities, your person who is posting for you or your team that you work with inside your organization will look at analytics, I would say ideally once a month, so that you know what's working and you can do more of that versus what's not working and or is tired that people are not responding to anymore. So yes, analytics needs to be on your radar, but that's not something that you should be deep diving into on a consistent daily basis. Once a month is amazing, but your team ideally will give you a report so you know what's working and what's not working. And then trend monitoring. You do need to know what's happening on at any given moment, what's trending. But again, does it have to be you that monitors that? No, it does not. This is something you can absolutely delegate so that you're not constantly online trying to glean what's new right now. If you've been online for the last, I don't know if you've been online for the last 30 days, the Olympics are very popular right now. There's several trends surrounding the Olympics, some of the better sponsors with the Olympics, and there's a lot going on with female athletes in the news. Does that matter for your posting? Yes, it absolutely can. You can get some great content from trending, but that doesn't mean you have to be the one that monitors it all the time. Social media can really become exhausting when you are trying to manage that execution instead of managing the influence. So what do you lose when you don't delegate? And I don't want to get ahead of myself. Here we go. It's time wasted. I actually, doing research for this presentation, I went through and found some analytics of the real cost, hard cost of not delegating. And I found this amazing article. And depending on your salary and where you are in your career, in your business, it can be after analyzing not delegating and getting down to the nitty gritty, it can cost between $10,000 and $20,000 a year, which is overwhelming to me. And the way that they analyze that is if you're not selling, then you are missing your opportunity to generate more revenue. And if that means you are worrying with a content calendar, if you are worrying with platform optimization, that's wasted time, that's wasted dollars. So that was part of what they used in their analysis to determine what the actual dollar cost is. And there's a huge turnover risk because it wears you out. There is stress and burnout when you are overwhelmed, when you are operating at full capacity. And I know many leaders, you work more than 40 hours a week, and then you have personal responsibilities, whether it's a child or a parent or a spouse, you have other things on your calendar. So delegating to me, one of the biggest costs is burnout, because when I am burned out, when I am stressed out, I do not perform like I need to. And because I represent my company and because I am our primary salesperson, that is definitely missed revenue for us. So absolutely, the cost of not delegating is real. Are there any questions? Are there any comments? I just want to make sure, check in our chat. Okay. Moving forward. So we understand what the pillars of leadership are, and we understand that we need to delegate. So how do you build an influence system and not just post random content? How do you actually execute that? Well, there is a sustainable influence requires several things. And I'm referring to that now as the leadership influence system. So let's dig into what does that include? There are requirements. You have to have strategic clarity. You have to understand what the overall strategy is so you can create content based within that strategy. So if part of what you're doing is building community for yourself, or let's say you're building community for your organization, one of the best things that you can do is third-party endorsement. So when you highlight customer experience or when you highlight customer testimonials, that might be a great tool as part of your strategic clarity, because people believe other people when they're talking about a business. So having that content calendar in place will help you with your clarity, so you are creating content that moves you forward. Documented messaging. You have to know what's expected, again, for you to hit that target, for you to execute. So if your ideal is 3 posts a week, that's your part of your documented messaging. I will highly encourage you, if you do not have one in place, consider a social media policy, a written social media policy, simply because there are times you can look at something and say, oh, that is a huge violation. But if it's not documented somewhere, you can't take action. And I kind of like to compare this to a dress code. You might be able to see someone in, let's say, shorts and flip-flops at a board meeting and say, oh, that's a gross violation of our dress code. If the dress code's not written down, there's nowhere to go with that. There has to be something written down. So if you don't want your team to talk about this upcoming, Joy kind of joked earlier that there are surprises for the conference coming up. Well, that needs to be communicated to the team. Don't talk about this one thing on social media. It's like when the grandparents announce the birth of the baby before mom has a chance to even talk to her, tell her first person. You have to have messaging in place, and I highly recommend including a written social media policy, just so that you can make sure that you're putting your best foot forward. There also needs to be a content rhythm. What is content rhythm? Well, ideally, if you're going to post 3 times a week, you're not going to post 3 times on Monday and then you don't touch it again until 2 weeks from now. You need to kind of get in the groove. And again, the algorithm rewards consistent behavior, but you don't have to post everything on one day. You can go in and, again, LinkedIn, and schedule your posts, not just for yourself, but for your business, 3 to 5 times a week. More than 5 posts a week on LinkedIn can be overwhelming, and you don't want to overwhelm your audience, but there definitely needs to be that rhythm. And you do teach the algorithm to come look for you. If you are consistently posting, YouTube learns, Google learns your rhythm, and it will go look for your content to share on the days and times it knows you're going to be active. I find that fascinating. A lot of the algorithms do that. You also want to have execution support. Again, whether it's, and I'm not saying that you have an intern, you might have we have had some amazing interns, but if it's an administrative assistant, if it's a marketing team, no matter who it is, you're going to need support. People ask me all the time, because we post on multiple platforms, 8 platforms consistently. How do you do that? I'm not doing that by myself. My entire team participates. There is no way in the world I would have enough time to put content, create it, edit it, format it, brand it, and then publish it, and then respond to comments without assistance. You have to have help. And then, of course, there has to be measurement. What works? What doesn't work? Are people responding to what you are saying? If so, increase that content and then decrease what is not working for you. But it's impossible to know that if you're not looking at your analytics. This is really what separates reactive posting from intentional leadership. You have a plan that you execute with support. Okay, let's talk about some of the more common mistakes made online. And this this drives me crazy. Posting only when there's some big news to announce. And I'm not trying to pigeonhole an industry, but let me just, I'm going to use car salesmen have a terrible reputation as being pushy or overwhelming. Why is that? Because they're constantly asking for the sale. When you are only posting about what's happening in your industry, in your organization for you, it does not build community. It's just like going to a marketing event and you run up to someone and push your card in their hand and you run off. You would never do that in real life. Don't do it online. You need to give to get. I kind of joke around. It's like any other relationship you have. You have to put in to get out. Always ask but never give. Think about it like a savings account. You have to have something in before you can ask. If you are posting well, 80% of your content will educate, inform, or entertain. 20% of your content is a call to action, asking people to connect with your organization, asking for their opinion, announcing a webinar. Well, webinar is actually an educational tool, so I would not necessarily include that. But if you're constantly pitching, it becomes overwhelming to your audience. Outsourcing without clarity. I know you guys have heard me mention this already, but it's very critical. You don't want random posts popping up that don't push your message forward. When you are posting and you have no direction, it muddies the waters. It messes with your brand voice. Social media is not optional anymore. It's critical. For those of you who might be familiar with Gary Vee, a few years ago, he was asked, how do you measure the value of your social media? And he said, well, how do you measure the value of your mother? A little dramatic, but I see where he's going with that. It is no longer optional. You have to be seen to be taken into consideration. And it could be as easy as having you want to move up the ladder and you are consistently now posting with the organization in mind on your LinkedIn profile, and your HR team sees it. It makes it no more. It's just not optional anymore. You're going to see people at the conference next week and they're going to want to connect with you. And if you don't have any contact information on your LinkedIn profile, you're defeating them before they can even get out of the gate. What might be a great connection for you might not be able to actually connect with you if you are treating this as if it is optional. It is no longer optional. And I'm not saying you have to get on Instagram and post a bunch of pictures about the last major surgery you had, but you do need to be purposeful on a platform like LinkedIn, a professional platform, because it helps you grow and move forward in your industry and in your company. So, let me back up one second. Another, what I would consider to be a common mistake, when you sound different in person than you do online. If you're going to be formal offline, you need to be formal in person, or again, it comes down to your brand voice. And I just wanted to add that real quick before we move forward. Okay, so if your business relies on trust, and think about how many do, especially banking, especially financial, your digital presence cannot be an afterthought. You absolutely have to be intentional in your actions so that you build that community and you build that trust. Okay, I really want to talk to you about what your call to action needs to be. What do you need to do now? Well, I will tell you that if this resonated with you, I would love to see you at the conference. Come and let us assess your leadership influence. I was talking to Joy about this right beforehand. We have an amazing program that we've written that will take your LinkedIn profile and run it through the program, and it immediately gives you your weakness, your gap, your content gap, your strength, what you're doing the best. And then it's also going to give you an action item, what your next action item needs to be. It's a free service There's no pressure on you. We will go over all the information with you during the conference. We're going to be right next to the registration booth, but it also gives us an opportunity to send you the complete assessment that we might not have time to cover in person. There is a and I mean complete assessment. I'm happy to show you an example when we get done. It's fascinating to me. But yes, if that's something that you're looking for and you want to know what your next call to action, how do I need to fix this? Where do I need to go from here? We actually have a program that we can run that can help you with this. And again, free service, happy to help. Stop by our booth next to the registration desk and let us help you with a complete analysis. I'm very excited about this program. We have tested it multiple times. Our poor guinea pigs, I'm sure, are tired of us, but I will show you what it looks like. It gives you an overall score and then helps you with your next action steps. But we partner with leaderships to build clarity online. That's what we do. I do want to give everyone an opportunity to ask any questions that you might have about what you need to be doing on LinkedIn, which platform you might want to focus on. Again, for our purposes here, I would tell you LinkedIn. How much time should I be investing? How do I train my team? What's next steps? I'm happy to answer any of those questions. If you have them, please feel free to go ahead and just kind of pop in the chat and ask them. I do want to send some reminders also for some kind of tone guidance for our leaders, for our CEOs. And I will encourage you to remember, take away from this, speak as a leader, not as a marketer. Leaders build community and build trust and establish their team. They don't just talk about what's in it for them. So leader versus marketer. Please avoid jargon in your communications. It needs to be clear to the average person on the street versus someone who is also certified in your industry. You want to use real client stories whenever you can. Again, Amazon, Yelp, so many organizations have made a business on third-party endorsement. People will believe someone talking about you more than they will believe you talking about you. So if I tell you, if we're having a conversation at the conference and I tell you what an amazing job that this organization did for us, we love them, it's the best, let's say website creator, best person we've ever had, wouldn't recommend anyone else, that is a strong endorsement. But if they said it themselves, you're going to love us. This is the best website ever. You're never going to want to use anybody else. You're less likely to buy into that. So real client stories really create that community. Be direct but calm in your messaging and your responses. You don't want to be inflammatory in your responses. And I know trolls exist. People love to poke you with a stick online or say negative things just to get a reaction. Don't do that. Be calm, be deliberate, but stick to your branding. And I will say sustainability over what's trending right this moment. So again, if you are following trends, if you are trying to see what's happening in real time in the news, that's great. But overall sustainability matters more than any trend will ever matter. So stay true to your voice, to your brand, to your organization. Leadership doesn't stop at the office door. It extends to every space that your voice exists, including online. I cannot stress that enough, how critically important that is. And I let me check our chat real quick for any questions that we might have. I'm happy to give you some basic LinkedIn tips. That was one of the questions that came up. You have critical categories on your LinkedIn profile. I will tell you, I like to start from the top and go down. You have to have cover art that illustrates what you do without having to explain it. And if what you do is complicated, can your cover art have words in it? It absolutely can. But your cover art needs to tell people who you are and what you offer at a glance. Do not waste your headline on your job title unless it works for you. One of the best things you can do is have your what's in it for me statement. And if it's acceptable to Joy and you guys are wanting tips on your profile, I am happy to come out of our slides and go to LinkedIn and actually show them to you if that's something that you're interested in. But again, starting from the top, you have to have good cover art. You have to have a great tagline. headline, and your headline should be your what's in it for me statement. So ours, mine could say CEO, founder, it could say any of that stuff, but instead it has my name, and then it says, we understand that social media can be overwhelming and we're here to help. That is exactly what we do. Next down, utilize your contact information. So many of the profiles that we're going to see when we do these evaluations on Tuesday, and I will highly encourage you, come see us. I'm happy to look at I'll be at the conference. I will look at your profile personally and tell you you're missing this, this, and this, or this is working, but this is not working. I do these audits often, but make sure your contact information is there, your business email, your business phone number, so people can reach you. Be sure that you have your URL that you're using to your advantage. And you want to make sure your information is up to date, but it's very important that you're posting consistently. You are more likely to engage and connect with someone when you post regularly. The statistics are overwhelming. It's 60% more likely to stand out if you post regularly than if you actually create a process to go to InMail. And I know you guys know what I'm talking about. You get some of the worst InMail where it's very markety, it's very salesy, it's overwhelming. You're much more likely to stand out and connect with those folks just by posting regularly online. Up to 60% more likely to connect if you post regularly online. And if you are job hunting or you're wanting to grow in your organization, that gets real important real fast. So making sure that your profile is complete, yes, that's great, but that takes time. And that's something that you want to do when you have the time to do it. But quick tips, cover art, what's in it for me statement, make sure your contact information is complete, utilize your URL, and post consistently. Those are my 5 big ones. And those are the biggest sins that we see, because you'll get, and any kind of accreditation, you could absolutely list it after your name, but your job title needs to be what's in it for me statement. 100%. Are there any other questions? I wanted to take, I know Joy has some information she wants to share with everyone. So let me, Joy, if you want to step in, if you guys are interested, I'm happy to show you the formatting that we will be using for the analysis at the conference. It's amazing to me because it is so specific. It literally is color coded so that green is good, yellow means warning, and red means this needs attention right now. I just love it. So absolutely happy to share that with you. I don't want to take time away that Joy needs, but if you guys need anything, please let me know. And if you need to get in contact with us, this is all of our contact information. I will be at the conference this upcoming Tuesday. I lost the day for a minute. I will be at the conference this week. I would love to see you. Please stop by and see us so that we can do an analysis and talk to you and meet you. I would love to help if I can. Joy,
virtual trainings are made possible with the support of Protective Life, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Alabama, and America's Thrift. Find the full list of sponsors as well as additional resources for women leaders on our website at momentumleaders.org. Thanks for taking the time to invest in you, and remember to like, subscribe, and share our channel. We love reading thoughts and comments, so you can leave those for us here too. You can also connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn by searching at Momentum Leaders.